I'll be honest with you, when I bought this place, I didn't think I'd end up in a legal standoff with a bunch of retirees wielding clipboards like swords. But here we are. 5 days after I finished building my dream stone wall, hand-laid, stacked limestone, beautiful enough to be on the cover of a landscaping magazine, the HOA came knocking. Literally. Knocked it over. Said it violated code. I said, "What code?" And they said, "The one we enforce." That's when I knew I was in for it. So, hi. I'm Michael, 35, former contractor, now working remote for a design firm, and proud owner of a 1920s ranch-style house on a quiet cul-de-sac in a neighborhood called Willowgate Preserve. Sounds peaceful, right? Well, only if you enjoy unsolicited HOA drama with your morning coffee. I'd moved here after a nasty divorce and needed a fresh start. My home was a fixer-upper, but I loved its bones. One thing I always wanted was a low stone wall to replace the hideous PVC white picket fence the previous owners left behind. So I got to work. I didn't just slap rocks together and call it a day. I dug a foundation, checked for gas lines, and used locally sourced stone that matched the natural slope. It didn't block any sidewalk, didn't cross any easement. The neighbors on both sides actually complimented it. Then came the violation notice. From the HOA in bold letters: unapproved structure in front yard, remove immediately or face fines. I called their office. "Hi, this is Michael, lot 28. I got a violation about a stone wall." "Yes," said a woman with the warmness of a fax machine. "You installed a permanent structure without prior approval from the Architectural Review Committee. But it's a wall. Like, decorative. It's barely 2 feet high. Still counts. You should have submitted Form 14B-3, attached a scaled sketch, and waited for a ruling." I asked, "Can I appeal?" She said, "You can attend our monthly board meeting. But you're still in violation as of now." You know that moment when someone tells you it's not personal, just policy, and you know they mean the opposite? The next day, I came home from work and found my wall smashed, sledgehammered, crumbled into a pile. 2 orange cones and a handwritten sign on cardboard: "Unauthorized wall removed by HOA enforcement." It felt like someone had hit me in the chest. I went full courtroom drama mode, pulled out my HOA agreement, highlighted every clause like I was prepping for a bar exam. That's when I found it. Clause 7.12b. If any structure is altered or removed by the HOA without proper notice or legal justification, the HOA shall be responsible for replacing said structure to original or better condition at their expense. Oh, they didn't see that coming. At the monthly HOA board meeting, I brought pictures of the wall before and after. I brought neighbor testimonials. I even brought a printed copy of Clause 7.12b, highlighted in canary yellow. The head of the HOA board, Karen, yes, literally Karen, smiled like a cat who thinks she's cornered a mouse. "Michael," she said, crossing her legs like she was about to deliver a sermon, "you failed to follow our procedures. We gave you a warning. And you failed to give me notice before demolishing my property," I said. Clause 7.12b. Shall I read it aloud? She waved me off. "That clause applies only if the structure was legal to begin with." "The wall wasn't illegal," I said. "There's no height restriction in the covenants. And no easement violation. You acted without notice. So either you show me a court order or you owe me a wall." That made the room go quiet. Karen tried to deflect something about community aesthetics, but the treasurer cut in. Jim, a soft-spoken retiree who'd clearly had enough of Karen's reign of terror. "He's right," Jim said. "We never voted to authorize demolition. Karen acted alone." Boom. Turns out Karen had called the maintenance crew herself and ordered the demolition, citing imminent aesthetic harm. Which isn't a thing. That's when Twist One showed up. A woman in the back stood up. She looked familiar: gray ponytail, glasses, quiet energy. She was the HOA's former secretary who had quit last year. "My name is Ellen," she said. "I resigned after Karen unilaterally rewrote parts of the enforcement guidelines and stopped holding official votes." Karen turned beet red. Ellen handed me a folder full of emails, old minutes, and notes showing that Karen had been acting on her own authority for months. It was like watching a Jenga tower collapse in slow motion. At the next meeting, Karen didn't show up. A formal vote was held. The board agreed the HOA had violated its own bylaws. They'd pay for the wall to be rebuilt by a professional mason of my choosing, with an approved budget of up to $12,000. So yeah, I ended up with a better wall. Full sandstone with an inset iron address plaque and built-in lighting. Honestly, it looked like something out of a magazine. But I wasn't done. Because Karen hadn't just smashed my wall, she'd smashed 3 others that same year. Quiet folks. Elderly. Not the type to fight back. So I helped them draft letters. Cited precedent. Even offered to represent them at meetings. The board started backpedaling real fast. One of those residents? Miss Patel, 80 years old. Her wall had been knocked over 2 months prior because it didn't match the colonial aesthetic. We got hers rebuilt too. And Karen? Oh, Karen got hers. Not in a scream in the street, viral video way. No, it was quieter. Sadder. A local journalist picked up the story. Retired HOA leader under fire for unauthorized property destruction. It included a quote from me and from Ellen, and a line about possible civil claims. Then the kicker, turns out Karen had been angling for a city council run. The story tanked her campaign before it started. I ran into her at the grocery store a month later. She looked like she aged a decade. She mumbled something about just trying to protect the community, and I said, next time, try not to swing a hammer at it. She didn't smile. Do I feel bad? No. Do I feel like justice was served? Absolutely. HOAs are supposed to protect property values, not weaponize rules to stroke their own egos. There's a line between order and control. Karen jumped right over it in steel-toe boots. Me? I just read the fine print. And that made all the difference. What do you think? Was I right to fight back the way I did? Or should I have just rebuilt quietly and moved on? Thanks for listening to my story. If you've ever dealt with HOA headaches or have a crazy neighbor tale of your own, I'd love to hear it. Drop a comment, share this with someone who needs a win, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more stories like this.